Welcome to the show. I'm here in GTA 5 on the Xbox One with a highly requested thing. I'm going to have a go at some more downhill chaos, and we start today with some of the new vehicles for GTA 5. I say new vehicles, kind of old vehicles carried over into GTA 5 from, yeah, you get what I mean. We start with the Blista, and of course the hikers are already here. Is it on the first run, and the hikers are already being a pain? Yeah, this back normal service has resumed. Yes, we're going to have a go with it in first-person mode, which makes things quite scary. I'll be honest, it is quite scary chucking cars down here in the first-person mode. You really get a sense of the speed that you get at this, and also how much you get thrown around driving this course. This is sort of a smallish sports car style thing, not really a rally, not really designed quite for this sort of terrain. It's not really got the suspension. You get bounced around a hell of a lot in this car. On the opening attempt, well, things may have gone a little bit wrong. I'd carried too much speed over a jump, and then we couldn't pull up in time at the end of it, and then we're bouncing and crashing our way down a hill. Amazingly, the game was very impressed with it and recorded it. Amazingly though, yes, we bounced off the ground a couple of times, got lots of airborne and did about a 360, but there was very little damage was done to the car. The getting stopped bit was proving a little bit of a challenge. I overshoot a corner, and then in trying to sort of correct it, messed up a little bit, clipped a rock, and we went for a little bit of a roll. No, not that much damage done really to the car. I mean, the door's hanging open, but yeah, we survived that quite well. Just overshot the next time, clipped the rocks. Very easy to. I was finding it a little bit harder to judge braking points on here. I do think that the cars are slightly different. There's certainly some aspects that feel a little bit different in this game, not to do with the camera angle as such. One thing that I have to contend with now, you can see these kind of grey bushes around, these sort of twiggy bushes. They cause some real problems for the cars. They really slow the cars down, and if you clip them with like a corner of your vehicle, they will spin you around. I've not stopped in time for the first corner as we tumble again. We weren't having too many kind of long tumbles off the mountain. We were kind of rolling a little bit, but we're managing to either control the car or just simply not hit anything. Again, coming into turn one, this time I got the vehicle stopped, which is always useful. And then I think we see the impact of the bushes there. I don't quite know why it's just these one particular sort of bushes. You see there, I hit it with the front right corner of my car. It spun me round. They are really nasty bloody things. If you hit at full speed, they will really mess around with your car. It's quite a pain. Again, simply not getting the vehicle stopped in time for the next corner. I mean, I've run wide there a few times with all of the vehicles that I've driven down here in the past, but I was certainly having a tougher job of quite judging where to brake with this particular camera angle. Never a wise idea to end up out over that particular rock. You can occasionally get away with it. This time, no. This is normally what happens if you run wide in turn one, as we tumbled down the mountain. Yeah. The game was pleased with this one again, and then we eventually come to a stop. I think we got caught on some form of rock. Yeah, the tumbling from first-person mode is quite interesting. We did a sizable amount of damage to the car. We lost most of the panels and stuff. Still working. We're not going to get it out of there in a hurry. Yeah, this first corner was again proving to be a little bit of a challenge. Got to brake earlier than I was thinking you needed to. Again, the bushes were being a pain in the arse. Admittedly, they did kind of perhaps save me from going off the edge by just simply spinning me round. And amazingly, I managed to remain on this very narrow ridge. But yeah, those bushes are a real problem. Eventually, I got a little bit further. It took me a while to get the hang of that opening section with this car. Again, it was just overshooting the braking. However, I will say that I think the brakes are improved on here. Certainly it seems when I was falling off the edge of this mountain, you could slam on the brakes and get the car stopped a hell of a lot quicker than I was expecting. I was also having a little bit of problem at the hairpin with this car. Handbraking around the hairpin, it didn't really like. That time I tried a little bit different line. That didn't work either. Again, you can see the brakes are they seem to be a lot more effective. I'm not sure if that's just because of the slight different camera angle, or what it is. They certainly feel like they are more effective. If I'm just feeling like the car gets stopped quicker. I ran a tiny bit wide. This first section is actually quite. It feels a lot more narrow now you're driving in first person mode. Yeah, just dipped a wheel over the edge. I completely misjudged one of the corners towards the end of the course. Yeah, you've got to slightly relearn parts of the course. I know this area very, very well, driven down this mountain many a time, but from this angle there are sort of blind corners that I'm not quite used to dealing with. Again, we have overshot the braking. We're spinning and twisting around in the air, going for a bit of a skid down the mountain on our roof. Well, kind of maybe we're looking at the floor and then we'll be looking at the sky in a minute. Many a rolls down the mountain. Amazingly, we kind of get it all back under control. Yeah. I love how there's just a window, like an unshattered pane of glass was just skidding down the mountain there. Yeah, the car was losing body panels. Wasn't actually taking a huge amount of damage on some of these things. Now this next corner, this is like almost a nothing corner on the previous game. There's the normal line you would take, but there's one of those bloody bushes in the. I'm trying to show it off as best I can here. There's these blooming bushes on the inside, so I can't take that corner in the same manner. I'm trying to show you the bushes slowing you down, but I'm going a bit. I haven't got enough momentum at this point. Yeah, I've got to change my line through that corner. I can't take. It becomes a lot more of a problem now. That corner, you got to be a lot wider. You can't kind of cut that corner as much as I would like. Again, running a little bit wide and not quite stopping it in time for the course. Amazingly, I pulled it up. Not quite enough to stop it from going over the edge, but it's now not going particularly fast over the edge. If we come towards the final section, we got the jump a little bit wrong, and we're kind of getting bounced around a little bit. The big difficulty in the visibility here is trying to dive down the little side path. Now I don't really want to take the big jump to the finish line. You could follow the path down, but that has a big jump and then we've got a nasty braking zone. So I don't like taking that particular route. It's preferable to dive off to the left, but it is very hard to see. From the first person view, you've basically got to guess where it is and pray you've got it right. After a while, it did take a little while to get a clean run with the Blista. I did struggle a little bit with this car. For some reason, I'm not entirely sure. Yes, I know it is front-wheel drive, but it doesn't really like handbraking in around the corners. It just wasn't particularly happy with me doing that. It didn't really turn that well when I was trying to handbrake it around a couple of the tighter corners here. Got to be very careful over that jump. For whatever reason, it didn't like that kind of that braking zone down the hill. It wasn't too happy, and that hairpin there was generally horrible. I got it much better though on this run, which is always good. And again, make sure to be slow enough through this corner so we don't get carried away. The big bounce on the landing, managed to keep it out of the wall. This next corner again, I'm trying to stay more to the right there. I can't jump the inside like I was used to, because the bushes will just spin you around. Get another big impact on landing here, which the road cars are never too happy about. Another blind corner that you just got to kind of turn in and pray that you can carry the speed through. The second jump there is another nasty landing. This time I get away with it. Slightly miss the side, sort of the small side path. I will get the hang of that eventually. You just got to. It's sort of earlier than you think it is, and then it's around the final corner. And I've slightly changed the finish point. We're going to have to jump here as the finish point now for downhill chaos on the Xbox One. And there's a bit of a roll and a crash, and eventually we come to rest, sort of in a muddy ditch. Aside from until that jump, the car would have made it down there without any damage. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's certainly not as bad as some vehicles. It is a small road car. Gets bounced around a little bit, but a couple of places it just didn't like turning into the corners at the hairpin. I don't know what it was, but I couldn't really sort of handbrake it around the corners. It just wasn't quite as happy. Up next, we have got the Stallion, a big muscle car, again, carried over, I believe, from I'm pretty sure this is in GTA 4, yeah? Another muscle car to take on the course. I like muscle cars, and muscle cars do seem to be relatively quick in GTA 5, which is always good. The downside to this is it's a much larger vehicle than the Blista. So on a couple of places on this course where it is quite tight, you could have issues, but we've had fairly large vehicles go down here before, so I wasn't expecting too much trouble from the Stallion. On this opening rung, I just got things a little bit wrong over one of the bumps, and it was enough to upset it. I clipped a rock, and now we're gradually starting to fall down a hill. The Stallion, though, was much easier to drive down this course. It was much nicer to drive. Again, clipped the rocks a little bit there. I slightly got confused as to where I was on the course, and then we go sliding and sliding, and there's some floor and some sky, and now some rolling around, and then there's a lot of sky and a big explosion. Yeah, I for whatever reason, I completely misjudged where I was on the course and thought I could cut the corner a little bit. I couldn't cut the corner a little bit. This is a wider car than the Blista as well that I didn't quite take into consideration on that attempt. I've clipped that rock before. That's not the first time I've had a car upside down on its roof at that particular point. As you can see, a lot of the clips in here move on to later sections of the track quite quickly. I didn't have anywhere near as many problems with the Stallion as I did with the Blista. Again, that corner there, I'm still not quite used to how blind it is, and turning a little bit too late. Hiker gets splattered, and then karma instantly repays me as I manage to spin it out. And I'm not sure quite what I spun it on there. I guess I must have just caught a bump a little bit wrong. Yeah, don't normally spin cars out there. I don't think there was a bush either to blame that one on. Didn't take too many times to get a nice run out of this car. As I said, it was much nicer to drive. It was much easier to get it around some of the tighter corners. I mean, it does also has the advantage I have all the experience from driving the Blista as well down here to use for this car. Got to make sure you brake nice and early for these corners. And honestly, the Stallion, yeah, it was nice. It dealt with all the horrible bumps and all the horrible jumps. It got stopped perfectly well for this corner, and you could fling it in the corners with a bit of help from the handbrake without too many issues. Again, these small bumps, yeah, there's absolutely no problem for this car. Run a little bit wide through there. That's a tad scary when you've got the vehicle going up on two wheels. When you are getting thrown about quite a lot. Again, we're out a little bit wide through here. I kind of get away with jumping the corner a little bit there, but I can't really do much more than that. Still a little bit wide going up towards that rock. These blind corners are a real pain. Again, making sure to turn in a little bit earlier. Almost ran wide there. Got away with that one. That would be very, very close to the rock face. Get a big jump. Judging a little bit better now this time, finding the side road. We kind of run the banking a little bit, but we managed to get it stopped into the second to last corner. Still nasty bumps around there, but it is no problem for this muscle car. Around the final turn, and it is a run across the jump and heading towards some trees. Just about managed to pull up in the Stallion. Yeah, nice car. It was a very nice car to drive down this course. Didn't have too many problems with it really, other than making sure to avoid the bushes and a few just sort of misjudgments from the fact that it was a bit of a larger car. Our third and final vehicle for today is probably one of my favourite cars now in GTA 5. It is the Dukes. I absolutely love this vehicle. I decided to go with a different colour scheme, gone for sort of blue and white because, well, why not? Modification wise, it's just kind of visual stuff on this car. None of the upgrades for the engine. I had to be careful with I put the wheelie bar on the back just because I can really. I didn't go for the blower on the bonnet because otherwise it would mess up all the visibility. So I went for one of the air intake. I can't remember what it's called now. Performance air intake, something like that. Yeah, I didn't fancy having the great big blower on the front of this car and ruin the already. It's pretty steep terrain that we're messing around with here, and having even less visibility would not be such a good thing. again, the Dukes was a very nice car to drive, much like this, very similar to the Stallion, really, in this. In the opening run, things were going very, very well. I managed to get away with not going sort of over the bushes. Fortunately, just run a little bit wide. Just clear, and I can see that rock face there being a pain in the ass. The hike is okay. I don't know if I knocked him or whether I just scared the crap out of him. Either way, he's okay. He's running off. Yeah, a couple of these blind corners were playing havoc. May have outbraked myself into the first corner. Almost get it stopped before going off the rock. And now it's back to sort of rolling and then looking at the sun and then looking at the floor again. And then no, now we're doing all sorts of crazy barrel rolls down the mountain. And eventually, we're going to come to rest. Nope, we're still rolling. And the rock kind of caught us. Almost. No, we've done another roll, and then there is a boulder coming, sort of chasing us down the mountain. Amazingly managed to get the vehicle stopped at some sort of silly angle. I'm not quite sure how that works, and the boulder kind of runs over us. Yeah, we took a bit of a battering on on that slide down. We lost quite a lot of panels at the front. Yeah, it's fairly easy to outbrake yourself into the first corner. off the sort of the rock jump there. May have again misjudged the braking just a little bit, got a bit carried away. Now we're spinning around, we're doing plenty of 360s, and eventually managed to kind of pull it up. Just a little bump on a tree. Just a little bump, and we get stopped again. I definitely think the brakes got a bit more powerful. As when you fall off the road, it does definitely seem to be easier to get the car sort of back under control and to stop it from sliding all the way down. This time I completely misjudged where the little side road is, and by the time I realised I've misjudged, I tried to aim for it and found a rock. I don't think I've ever crashed into that rock before. It's a first, and there's plenty more tumbling down the mountain. For some reason, I'm not quite sure why the car twisted around there. I was wondering if there was something sort of dragged us down, but I don't know. I mean, like the bonnet, I think that's the bonnet, yeah, now comes to rest. Like sometimes they can get caught and twist the car. I'm still not sure what it was that caused the car to spin round there. Again, took about the same time really to get a decent run out of this car as it did with the Stallion. They're pretty similar vehicles, to be honest. I think this is a slightly longer vehicle, perhaps. I think they're around a similar. I mean, they're effectively very, very similar cars. So yeah, both were fairly easy to drive. Still got to be careful with these vehicles. Very easy to make a silly mistake. Got to remember to brake a bit earlier on this one here to make sure you don't get carried away. Then you can chuck it through these next couple of corners. And again, this was much happier with using the handbrake through these turns. I get it a little bit wrong through that section. Again, we're getting bounced around a little bit. Just run wide over the rock face. Don't lose too much time doing that, because I mean, you still try to slow it down for the next corner, and provided it doesn't ping you off into the scenery, then you can just about get away with it. And again, round the blind corners, I scare another hiker. I don't think I hit him. I'm not entirely sure. Again, the next blind corner, still pushing it a little bit wide on the exit there. It's again a little bit of a crunch of a landing over the next jump. I find the little escape road quite a lot better that time. Just about got the hang of it by the end of this. Then up towards the second to last corner, get thrown about across the bumps there, and it's a little bit of a poor exit out of that second to last corner. Around the final turn, run a little bit wide, and it's across the line, kind of upside down. Yeah, and then we nail a tree on our way to landing in a ditch. Yeah, the second to last corner, I think we lost a fair bit of time in that. I think just the way we hit the bumps mid-corner kind of had the vehicle up in the air, and we landed a bit awkward, and we lost a lot of momentum through there. And then crossing the line, we also ran a bit wide and ended up upside down. Not an ideal finish to the run for the Dukes, but otherwise, yeah, it was pretty good down the course. And I managed to get it stuck while trying to get it. It survived all the way down Chiliad, and then getting out of a ditch, it gets stuck. Perhaps the wheelie bar wasn't such a good idea for this bit. Yeah, it was fine all the way down the bloody mountain and trying to get it out of the muddy ditch, and the Dukes is stuck. Oh well. Yeah, on to the times. And it is the Stallion that goes fastest with a 1:29.9. 0.8. I think the times on here are going to be a little bit slower than on the 360 version. As I said, the bushes cause a problem as you have to take a couple of corners differently, and I've moved the finish line just a little bit further down the road, although I do think the brakes are slightly sharper on these cars. So yeah, the times aren't too bad. They're yeah, I think they're just a little bit slower than you would see on the 360 version. The Dukes, it goes to second with a 132.9. I think quite a bit of that was lost in the second to last corner, and I may have scraped the wall a little bit further on. And the Blista is at the back, but it's not that far off the two muscle cars with a 133.7. So there we go, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you would like to see me carry on with the Downhill Chaos series on here, go through, like, carry on as I did before on the 360 version, go back and look at some cars on this version in first person, then yeah, please do let me know in the comments section. Maybe I will start up that series again if people are interested. Yeah, however, that's it for today. So until next time, a goodbye.